Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, talks between Narad and King Prachin Bharhi. Text number 33 onwards. Yatha hi purusho bharam shirasa gurum uttahan tam skandena sa adatte tatha sarva pratikriyaha. A man may carry a burden on his head and then when he feels it to be too heavy, he sometimes gives relief to his head by putting the burden on his shoulder. In this way, he tries to relieve himself of the burden. However, whatever process he devises to counteract the burden does nothing more than put the same burden from one place to another. This is a good description of an attempt to transfer a burden from one place to another. When one gets tired of keeping a burden on his head, he will place it on his shoulder. This does not mean that he has become freed from the strains of carrying the burden. Similarly, human society, in the name of civilization, is creating one kind of trouble to avoid another kind of trouble. In contemporary civilization, we see that there are many automobiles manufactured to carry us swiftly from one place to another. But at the same time, we have created other problems. We have to construct so many roads, and yet these roads are insufficient to cope with automobile congestion and traffic jams. There are also the problems of air pollution and fuel storage. Conclusion is that the processes we manufacture to counteract or minimize our distresses do not actually put an end to our pains. It's all simply illusion. We simply place the burden from the head to the shoulder. The only real way we can minimize our problems is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give ourselves up to His protection. The Lord, being all powerful, can make arrangements to mitigate our painful life in material existence. So, nice example Narad Muni is giving. It's like somebody, if we have a burden on his head, if we are carrying a big suitcase or bag full of lots of items, heavy bag on our head, and then head starts hurting, and we can put the bag on our shoulder to carry it, but we are not giving up that bag, not just leaving it because it has some items that we need or we think we need. But the pain is still there. Pain is not gone away just because we have transferred the load from our head to the shoulders. So this is what the material world is. To counteract one material problem, we create a solution, but that adds on to the problem. And the problem does not go away, and new problems are created. So that is why material solutions to material problems is not the solution. We have to transcend the problems. We have to go beyond. And as Prabhupada says, just try to take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. For example, suppose somebody is poor, so lack of money, that's a problem. In the process, so he goes and tries to steal money or rob somebody of money, in thinking, oh, that way I'll not have the problem. But police might catch him, the owner might catch him, and they beat him up, and that adds to another problem. He is already poor, now he's beaten up also. Maybe his bone will break or something. Or maybe he'll thrown into jail. So another problem. So or he may decide, okay, I'm poor, let me work hard to be rich or to make ends meet, get enough money to make ends meet. So that's the right solution, right way of approaching, one right way of approaching. But then again, to work hard, to make money, it takes lots of efforts, lots of time. Or spiritual ways to be satisfied with whatever we have. Understanding it's because of our karma we have this issue. So if we take care of the karma by bhakti, Krishna can take care of this money problems also. What's so difficult for Krishna to do? But generally, we think, oh, that's a lazy way of approach. No, that's not the lazy way. That's a transcendental way, actually. Lazy way will be do nothing and just that's it and sleep. That's a lazy way. That's an ignorant way. But this is a transcendental way. But 99% of people don't like this idea. That's a problem. And then because we also have this material conditioning, material mentality, we also get into this keeping up with Jones and Jonases or keeping up with Sharmas and Vermas in India, that mentality. And we get into the rat race. So the point is, even if we get into the rat race because of our conditioning, because of our sanskaras from the previous lifetimes, point is at least get into bhakti, chant the names of Krishna, be in the rat race. Slowly, 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 Krishna will take us out of the rat race. That's a path for the neophytes like us. Otherwise, we won't be satisfied. We might keep on repenting. Oh, I could have done this and I could have done that. And even if we are in the rat race and thinking we are doing very well, better than others, Krishna might frustrate us in the rat race. He might make us successful also. It's up to him. Either way, whatever he does, that will be beneficial for our bhakti. That's for sure. Naikantatah pratikaraha karmanam karma kevalam dvayam hi avidyoapsritam swapne swapna ivanagaha. Narad continued, O you who are free from all sinful activity, no one can counteract the effects of fruitive activity simply by manufacturing a different activity devoid of Krishna consciousness. All such activity is due to our ignorance. When we have a troublesome dream, we cannot relieve it with a troublesome hallucination. One can counteract a dream only by awaking. Similarly, our material existence is due to our ignorance and illusion. Unless we awaken to Krishna consciousness, we cannot be relieved of such dreams. For the ultimate solution to all problems, we must awaken to Krishna consciousness. There are two kinds of fruitive activity. We can place the burden on the head or we can place it on the shoulder. Actually, keeping the burden in either side is the same. Transferal, however, is taken place under the name of counteraction. In this connection, Prahlad Maharaj said that fools and rascals in the material world plan so gorgeously for bodily comfort without knowing that such arrangements, even if successful, are only Maya. People are working hard day and night for the illusory happiness of the body. This is not a way to achieve happiness. One has to get out of this material entanglement and return home back to Godhead. That is real happiness. The Vedas therefore enjoin, don't remain in the darkness of this material world. Go to the light of the spiritual world. Tamso ma jyotirgamaya. To counteract the distresses of this material body, one has to take on another distressed condition. Both situations are only illusion. There is no gain in taking on one trouble to counteract another trouble. Conclusion is that one cannot be perpetually happy as long as one exists in this material world. The only remedy is to get out of this material world altogether and return home back to Godhead. So that's the only remedy. Otherwise, no matter how many solutions we try to figure out, they'll not help and they'll not make us happy. Arte hi avidya mane api samsritirna nivartate manasa linga rupena swapne vicharto yat. Sometimes we suffer because we see a tiger in a dream or snake in a vision, but actually there is neither a tiger nor a snake. Thus, we create some situation in a subtle form and suffer the consequences. These sufferings cannot be mitigated unless we are awakened from our dream. As stated in the Vedas, the living entities always separate from two kinds of material bodies, the subtle and the gross. All our sufferings are due to these material bodies. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception of Sayana Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Lord Krishna thus informed Arjuna that all the distresses brought about by the body come and go. One has to learn how to tolerate them. Material existence is a cause of all our sufferings, for we do not suffer once we are out of the material condition. The Vedas therefore enjoin that one should factually understand that he is non-material, but is actually Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. This understanding cannot be fully realized unless one is engaged in Brahman activities, namely devotion service. To get free from the material conditions, one has to take to Krishna consciousness. That's the only remedy. So only remedy, only solution is to take to Krishna consciousness. And slowly it takes away all the material propensities. All of them, they're gone. And then the real satisfaction comes in. See, our main problem is because of our expectations, desires. Expectations are desires. I expect to get good grades. I expect to get good position in the company, to make more money, and this and that, and this and that. I expect people should respect me. I expect that people honor me. Or the tons of expectations. Only thing we need to expect is, Krishna, please give me service, your service, that's all. The rest, everything hardly matters. It doesn't matter actually at all. And Krishna, when he fulfills that expectation of service, or Krishna, please let me chant your name of yours. When that expectation is fulfilled, then we are eternally blissed. We are in a very blissful state. Other expectations, they either lead to misery or they lead to more expectations. That's all. Ultimately misery. Because not all our expectations are going to be fulfilled. Not going to happen. When we are on the road, we expect everybody to drive the way we want them to drive, the way we think it's the right way to drive. But their way of thinking and their way of driving could be completely opposite to ours. And then seeing them behave like this, we get angry, or we sometimes laugh at them. What is this crazy guy doing? But that's our expectations. It doesn't change his way of behavior. It cannot. So similarly, we expect the whole world to act the way we want. Cannot happen. Not gonna happen. No way. So because of that, we suffer, thinking I'm right and whatever I'm expecting is right. So rather we start accepting this is the way Krishna wants. This is the way Krishna has designed. This is the way Krishna wants me to learn my lessons and get rectified. This is how he has made it so that I learn my lessons and get purified. And at the same time be grateful to him for providing me with everything. So instead of expectations, we start accepting. And then the life becomes very easy then. Very, very easy. Of course, in this accepting process, the point is we don't want to get cheated at any time. But even in the end, if you are very careful and still get cheated, well, this is how Krishna wanted it. So that way we can make progress in the spiritual life. We can make progress in bhakti. Otherwise, if we are always agitated, we cannot concentrate on anything. अथात मनोर अर्थ भूतस्य यतो अनर्थ परंपरा संसृतिस्तद व्यवच्छेदो भक्त्या परमे गुरो वासुदेवे भगवती भक्ति योग समाहिता सध्रीचीनेन वैराग्यम ज्ञानम च जन्यष्यति. The real interest of the living entity is to get out of the nescience that cause him to endure repeated birth and death. The only remedy is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his representative. Unless one renders devotion service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, one cannot possibly become completely detached from this material world, nor can he possibly manifest real knowledge. So one cannot possibly become detached or have real knowledge unless one renders devotional service. This is the way to become detached from the artificial material conditions. The only remedy is to take to Krishna consciousness and constantly engage in the devotional service of Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is trying to be happy, and the process adopted to achieve that happiness is called self-interest. Unfortunately, the conditioned soul hovering within this material world does not know that his ultimate goal of interest is Vasudeva. Samskriti or material existence begins with the illusion bodily conception of life. And on the basis of this conception, there ensues a series of unwanted things, anarthas. These unwanted things are actually mental desires of various types of sense gratification. In this way, one accepts different types of bodies within this material world. One first has to control the mind so that the desires of the mind can be purified. This process is described in the Narad Pancharatra as Sarvapati Vinirmukta. Unless one purifies his mind, there is no question of getting free from the material condition. So all this is the process of bhakti that Narad Muni is explaining and Prabhupada is explaining better. The material miseries of the living entity which are superfluous to him can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth. Anarthas, unwanted things, come down from one bodily life to another. So these, from one bodily life to another, they keep on going. These anarthas are the desires, material desires to enjoy, to engage in sense gratification. And they go on from one body to another, from one mind to another. Or mind remains the same, they just transfer body to body. To get out of this entanglement, one has to take to devotion service of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Guru is significant in this connection. The word Guru may be translated as heavy or the Supreme. In other words, the Guru is a spiritual master. Srila Rishabhdev advises his sons, Guru na sasyat. One should not take up the post of spiritual master unless he is able to lead his disciple from the cycle of birth and death. Material existence is actually a chain of action and reaction brought about by different types of fruitive activities. This is the cause of birth and death. One can stop this process only by engaging oneself in the service of Vasudeva. Only by engaging oneself in the service of Krishna. Why Vasudeva here? Because Vasudeva, or son of Vasudeva, that is actually the Shuddha Sattva platform. So from there on, one can understand that no more material birth. Bhakti refers to those activities performed in the service of Lord Vasudeva. Because Lord Vasudeva is the supreme, one should engage oneself in his service, not in the service of the demigods. Devotional service begins from the neophyte stage, the stage of observing the rules and regulations, and extends to the point of spontaneous loving service to the Lord. The purpose of all stages is to satisfy Lord Vasudeva. When one is perfectly advanced in the devotion service of Vasudeva, one becomes completely detached from the service of the body. That is his designated position in material existence. After becoming so detached, one becomes actually perfect in knowledge and engages perfectly in the service of Lord Vasudeva. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivera Swarupa Krishnera Nityadas. Every living entity is by constitutional position an eternal servant of Krishna. As soon as one engages in the service of Lord Vasudeva, he attains his normal constitutional position. This position is called the liberated stage. In the liberated stage, one is situated in his original Krishna conscious position. He gives up all engagements in the service of matter, engagements concocted under the names of social service, national service, community service, dog service, automobile service, and so many other services conducted under the influence, illusion of I and my. Prabhupada, when he starts writing this community service, dog service, automobile service, and we're doing so many services, thinking this is mine. And this belongs to this, my body. I am this body. So all we have to do is try to work hard on our devotion service, especially this Vedhi Sadhana Bhakti. And then slowly we make progress. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Thus, one must engage in the service of Vasudeva without material desire, mental speculation, or fruitive activity. And that's the only way. Not getting more and more engaged in material activities. They're just putting the burden from head and putting and transferring them into the shoulder. That's all. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice example of burden, shoulder, head.
Yeah.
See, every day we are doing the same thing and we don't realize it.
Yep. That's why Prabhupada's books are very important.
Yes,
Very,
Prabhuji.
very important.
Yes, Prabhuji. I agree.
Sometimes devotees say, oh, see, finally we have to chant. So Mahaprabhu said, Kirtanya Sadahari. And all the scriptures, they basically point us to just chanting. So why read all these things? Why not just chant? But we are not at that stage of nishtha yet. Anarthas are not gone. So we need knowledge. We need the basis of philosophy to remind us, to keep us on the track.
Very important, Prabhuji.
That's what you're very, very important to read Prabhupada's books.
Each shloka, each line, we find something new every day. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice.
Thank you, Mata. Chalo, we'll stop here. You all have a wonderful and safe day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.